Actually, I think of a man that I used to know. I think his name was called Jack Squat. Don't get me wrong. I love them. They were a very good man. Okay? But the Bible says, and please understand, I have no ill feelings or anything like that. I'm trying to give an example. Because the Bible says in Proverbs 13 and 22 that a good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children. In other words, a good man or a good person leaves an inheritance to his grandchildren. And as I begin to grow older, even as I was in high school, I understood the challenges that are faced in the church. I understood that there were financial challenges in the church, and where I grew up, it seems like we were trying to meet budget every month, and we had to take a special offering many times in our church to meet the budget, and there was never enough money, and couldn't bring people on staff, and all these things that put something in my heart that I wanted to do things differently. In fact, I was determined that I would not be a minister or a preacher in church. I wanted to be a business person because I wanted to be different. I wanted to be one of these people that really helped the church financially. I wanted to be one of those people because I saw how significant a person could be if they had the resources to help financially. I wanted to be one of those people. Obviously, God did something different in my life, and He changed the desires, and I found out that having money is more about managing. It's more about managing and less about making. But another thing that I wanted to do is I wanted to be a blessing to not only my children, but my grandchildren. Even at a young age, I wanted something like that because I saw how there were some people that were a blessing. Another thing that I wanted to do is I wanted to be a giver. As I was saying before, I wanted to be one of the people in church that you could count on financially. When it was time to buy a church van, people didn't have to stress about it because I was there and I would help in those areas. I want to be one of the types of people that we have in our church when it comes time for bikes for kids. You know, there are people in our church that will come to us and say, hey, if you run short, let me know. If any kid, I don't care what it costs, if any kid is lacking in bikes, let me know. We have a few people that will come up to us and say, let me know if you run short, I'll take care of it. I want to be one of those types of people. But I also realized that if that was something that I wanted to be in my life, I would have to live my life differently than my grandparents. Does that make sense? If I was going to be a giver, if I was going to be able, wouldn't it be nice for me to be able to help one of my grandchildren in college or help them with a vehicle or let them know? I want them to know that they can come to their grandfather. I want to be like that. I want to be a giver. And if that was going to be the case, I would have to live my life differently than the way that my grandparents lived their lives. Nothing wrong with the way that they lived their lives, but I wanted something different. And as you begin to go to the Word, as we're about to go, I can see that God did not call Christians to live lives of poverty. Now, I know that there are exceptions and there are rare instances where God will have somebody give up everything and go to a different land and serve a culture. And I understand all about that. But God did not call us in our culture to live in poverty. Understand, I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with it. But the only thing, if God has called us to be a blessing, as I'm going to show you in the Word, if God has called me to be a blessing to the world around me, and He's called me to help people financially, He has commanded me to help the poor. It's not an option. He has challenged me in His Word to tithe, and challenged me to give all these things. He has commanded, He has challenged. If that be the case, wouldn't it make sense that He's called me to live a blessed life? Because you give out of your surplus. You give after you pay your bills. After you can see that you can help people with the money that's left over. But if you don't have anything left over, if you're not blessed, if you're living below paycheck to paycheck, you can't help anybody. Well, since God has commanded us to be a blessing, would it make sense that He would want to bless us?